Picture a snowy Christmas Eve in Boston, where the glittering lights of the Hearth Hotel cast a spell of opulence, yet conceal a world of unspoken divides. Elias Tran, a humble concierge, steps into this dazzling realm, his dreams of a community bookstore clashing with the sharp edges of wealth and entitlement. A single encounter, a tycoon's cutting words, a mysterious woman's quiet strength ignites a journey that will challenge everything he believes about worth, resilience, and connection. What happens when one man's courage to rise above humiliation sparks a legacy that transforms a city? This is a story of heart, of finding purpose in the face of adversity, and of building a sanctuary where everyone belongs. Will Elias overcome the sting of scorn to create something extraordinary? Join us from the first flicker of hope to the final, triumphant note, and discover how a single night can change everything. Keep reading. You won't want to miss a single moment of this unforgettable tale. In the waning days of December 2025, as Boston's streets shimmered under a delicate blanket of snow, the Hearth, a boutique hotel tucked into the city's historic core, hummed with the anticipation of Christmas Eve. Its grand lobby, aglow with the warm flicker of chandeliers, reflected golden light across polished mahogany floors and plush velvet armchairs. The air carried the scent of pine wreaths, mulled wine, and freshly baked gingerbread, mingling with the soft strains of a string quartet playing carols. For Elias Tran, a 32-year-old concierge who had grown up in a modest Vietnamese-American enclave just miles away, stepping into the Hearth each evening was like crossing a threshold into a world of opulence, a dazzling realm that both awed and alienated him. Elias adjusted the lapels of his navy uniform, his fingers brushing the brass name tag pinned to his chest. His reflection in the lobby's mirrored wall showed a man with steady eyes and a practiced smile, but beneath that composure, a quiet unease stirred. The Hearth, though newly opened, had already earned a reputation as Boston's premier destination for the elite. Its Christmas Eve gala drawing a who's who of senators, tech moguls, and old money families. Elias had seen them all glide through the etched glass doors, their laughter bright but brittle, their demands sharp as the winter wind. Tonight's event promised to be the grandest yet, a glittering spectacle of wealth and influence. For Elias, it was another night of navigating a world that felt galaxies apart from the one he knew, a means to an end, a way to save for his dream of opening a community bookstore, a haven where stories would bridge divides and welcome all. As the evening unfolded, Elias moved through the crowded lobby with the grace of a seasoned dancer, his steps measured, his smile unwavering. He greeted guests with a nod, escorted them to their tables in the grand dining hall, and coordinated last-minute requests with the precision of a conductor. Each task arranging a private car for a late arrival, confirming a vegan menu for a VIP, answering queries about the hotel's history, was a note in an intricate symphony of service. Yet, with every bow and yes sir, a quiet discomfort gnawed at him. Serving guests who spent more on a single bottle of wine than he earned in a month was a stark reminder of the chasm between their lives and his. Still, he pressed on, his dream of the bookstore a flickering light in the distance. Amid the festive chaos, a voice sliced through the hum of conversation, sharp and commanding. "Concierge." Elias turned to face a man in his late 40s, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that screamed bespoke. His name, Elias recalled from the guest list, was Victor Langston, a real estate tycoon whose reputation for ruthless deals preceded him. Victor's eyes, cold and assessing, barely met Elias's as he waved a dismissive hand toward the dining hall. "My suite is unacceptable. The view is obstructed by some hideous building, and the thermostat is clearly broken. I didn't come here to freeze. Fix it." Elias's heart sank, but his voice remained steady, a skill honed through years of handling entitled guests. "I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Langston. I'll arrange a new suite immediately and have maintenance address the thermostat." Victor's lips curled into a sneer, as if Elias's prompt response was merely expected, not appreciated. "You'd better," he said, turning back to his companions, a group of equally polished men whose laughter rang out like clinking crystal. "Honestly, it's impossible to find competent help these days. They'll let anyone work in a place like this." The words landed like a slap, but Elias kept his expression neutral, his jaw tight as he nodded and retreated to the concierge desk. He was no stranger to such remarks, but Victor's disdain carried a weight that felt personal, as if Elias's very existence as a concierge were an insult to the man's world. As he relayed the request to the front desk, his colleague Lila, a kind-hearted woman with a knack for diffusing tension, muttered, "You'd think they'd have a drop of Christmas spirit." Elias managed a wry smile, his fingers clenching briefly around the edge of the desk. "Spirit's not on the menu tonight, Lila." Returning to the lobby, Elias's gaze drifted to a woman seated alone near the grand fireplace, its flames casting a soft glow across her silver hair. She was older, perhaps in her late 60s, with a serene dignity that stood in stark contrast to the ostentatious crowd. Her dress, a simple but elegant navy silk, seemed out of place among the sequined gowns and tailored tuxedos. She sat quietly, a leather-bound book in her lap, her fingers tracing its spine with a tenderness that caught Elias's attention. There was a calm authority in her posture, an unshakable presence that seemed to anchor the room. He felt an inexplicable pull toward her, a sense of familiarity he couldn't place, though he was certain they'd never met. Before he could dwell on it, Victor's voice snapped him back. "Concierge, where's my new suite? I don't have all night." Elias hurried over, his heart pounding but his tone calm as he handed Victor the new key. "It's all arranged, sir. The presidential suite, with a view of the harbor." Victor snatched the key, his eyes narrowing. "It better be perfect, or I'll have you fired." He leaned in, his voice low and cutting. "People like you don't belong in places like this. You're dragging down the standard." The comment seared through Elias, his cheeks flushing as he forced a nod and turned away. Victor's laughter followed, a hollow sound that echoed through the festive din, mingling with the clink of champagne flutes and the quartet's rendition of Silent Night. Elias retreated to the concierge desk, his chest heavy, with a mix of anger and shame. He focused on the rhythm of his breathing, willing himself to let the words slide off him. His mother's voice echoed in his mind. "People's words only hurt if you let them define you." But tonight, in this glittering world of wealth and privilege, those words found their mark. As he straightened a stack of menus, his eyes caught the older woman's gaze. She was watching him, her expression thoughtful, almost knowing. For a fleeting moment, their eyes locked, and Elias felt a flicker of comfort, as if she understood the weight he carried. Her lips curved into a faint, encouraging smile before she returned to her book, and Elias to his duties, the moment lingering like a quiet promise in the chaos of the night. By the time the gala ended, Elias was drained, the sparkle of Christmas Eve dimmed by the evening slights. As he tidied the desk, preparing to leave, he thought of his dream, the bookstore. A cozy space with shelves of diverse stories, free reading nights for kids, a corner for local poets. The vision sustained him, a beacon through the long nights at the hearth. As he stepped into the snowy night, the city lights twinkling like stars, he whispered a quiet vow to himself. He would keep pushing forward, no matter the challenges. The next morning, Christmas Day, dawned with a golden hue, the snow-dusted streets quiet, save for the distant sound of church bells. Elias woke with Victor's words still echoing in his mind, their sting tempered by the memory of the older woman's gaze. He arrived at the hearth early, seeking a moment of solitude before the holiday rush resumed. Settling into a corner of the empty lobby, he pulled out a worn notebook, its pages filled with sketches and ideas for his bookstore, a warm space with mismatched armchairs, a coffee bar, and walls lined with books from every corner of the world. Writing it down made the dream feel tangible, a small act of defiance against the doubts that lingered. As the day progressed, the hotel filled with guests, their voices bright with holiday cheer. Elias braced for another round of demands, his heart sinking when he spotted Victor Langston striding through the lobby, now in a navy blazer, his arrogance undimmed. "Concierge," Victor called, his tone dripping with condescension. "I need a private dining room for tonight's dinner, and don't botch it." Elias nodded, his stomach twisting, but he kept his voice even. "Of course, sir. I'll arrange it right away." As he turned to make the call, he noticed the older woman from the previous night standing nearby, now dressed in a simple wool coat over a cream sweater. She approached the desk, her presence calming the storm within him. "Good morning, young man," she said, her voice warm, like a hearth on a winter's night. "You handled that with remarkable grace." Elias blinked, caught off guard by the compliment. "Thank you, ma'am. I'm just doing my job." She smiled, her eyes crinkling with wisdom. "It's more than a job when you do it with such dignity. My name is Clara Nguyen. I've been watching you, and I see something rare, a strength that doesn't falter." Her words, simple yet profound, stirred something in Elias, Before he could respond, Victor's voice rang out again, this time laced with irritation. "Concierge, the dining room better be perfect, or I'll have you out on the street." Elias felt his cheeks flush, his hands trembling slightly as he nodded. But Clara's gaze held him steady, her presence a quiet anchor. To his astonishment, she turned toward Victor, her expression shifting to one of quiet authority. Victor, noticing her, faltered mid-sentence, his confidence wavering under her piercing gaze. "Young man," Clara said, her voice calm but firm, "this gentleman is doing his best to serve you. Perhaps a touch of kindness would suit the spirit of Christmas." Victor's face reddened, his usual bravado crumbling. He muttered an apology, something about a misunderstanding, and retreated to his table, his swagger replaced by unease. Elias stood frozen, his heart racing. Clara turned back to him, her smile returning. "Don't let people like that dim your light," she said softly. "You're more than they see." With that, she walked away, her words settling over Elias like a warm blanket, shielding him from the evening's chill. The following evening, as the Christmas gala reached its crescendo, the hotel buzzed with a new energy. Whispers circulated among the staff about a special guest, the elusive owner of the hearth, a woman rarely seen but legendary for her rise from a small-town waitress to hospitality titan. Her presence tonight, for the gala's finale, had the staff on edge, their movements hurried, their voices hushed. Elias adjusted his tie, his nerves tingling as he spotted Victor again, now seated with a group of affluent guests. The man's demeanor was subdued, his usual arrogance tempered, perhaps by Clara's reprimand. Elias approached with caution, offering a menu. Victor glanced up, his eyes flickering with recognition. "You again," he said, his tone less sharp than before. "Just make sure the wine is right this time." Elias nodded, but before he could turn away, a hush fell over the room. Heads turned toward the entrance, where Clara Nguyen stood, now dressed in an elegant emerald gown that shimmered under the chandelier light. Flanked by two assistants, she moved with quiet grace, her presence commanding silence. Elias's breath caught as realization dawned. Clara was the owner of the hearth. She glided through the room, her gaze sweeping over the guests with a calm authority. When her eyes met Elias's, she offered a subtle nod, a gesture that sent a shiver of pride through him. As she took her place at the head table, Victor's face paled, his earlier bravado replaced by unease. He leaned toward a companion, whispering, "That's her, the owner?" Clara, overhearing, turned to him, her voice steady. "Yes, I am. And I've noticed how you've treated my staff. Elias here is one of the finest members of our team, and he deserves respect." The words hung in the air, a quiet rebuke that left Victor speechless. The room watched, the moment heavy with unspoken lessons. Turning to Elias, Clara's expression softened. "Thank you for your service, Elias. It's people like you who make the hearth a home." Elias nodded, his throat tight with gratitude. "Thank you, ma'am." As the night wore on, Victor's demeanor shifted. His demands softened, his tone almost respectful, as if Clara's words had pierced the armor of his entitlement. Elias moved through his tasks with a newfound lightness, Clara's words a shield against the evening's challenges. When the gala ended, Clara paused by the concierge desk, her eyes warm. "You have a gift, Elias," she said. "Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are. Keep nurturing your dreams." Days later, as the new year approached, Elias received a call from an unfamiliar number. "This is Clara Nguyen," the voice said, calm and familiar. "I'd like to meet with you." They arranged to meet at a small coffee shop in the South End, a cozy contrast to the hearth's grandeur. Over steaming mugs of chai, Clara shared her vision: a new community center, a place where people of all backgrounds could gather, learn, and connect. "I want you to help me build it," she said, her eyes bright with conviction. "Your dream of a bookstore could be its heart, a space for stories, for community." Elias's heart raced, doubt mingling with excitement. "I've never managed anything like this," he admitted, his fingers tracing the rim of his mug. Clara leaned forward, her gaze steady. "You've managed more than you know every night at the hearth. You've shown resilience and heart. I'll guide you, but this will be yours to shape." In the weeks that followed, Elias threw himself into the project, his days a whirlwind of planning and discovery. The community center, named Haven, took shape in a renovated warehouse on the edge of downtown, its brick walls softened by warm lighting and shelves of books. Elias learned the intricacies of budgeting, design, and community outreach, guided by Clara's patient mentorship. He met with architects, sourced sustainable materials, and sketched ideas for his bookstore, a cozy nook with mismatched armchairs, a coffee bar, and a stage for poetry readings. Each evening, he returned to the hearth, his shifts a reminder of where he'd started. The contrast between the hotel's opulence and Haven's grounded warmth fueled his determination. One night, as he locked up the concierge desk, he spotted Victor in the lobby, his expression softer than before. "I heard about your project," Victor said, almost hesitantly. "It's impressive." Elias nodded, surprised by the sincerity in the man's voice. "Thank you, Mr. Langston. It's a work in progress." Months later, Haven's opening night arrived, the warehouse transformed into a vibrant hub of connection. Fairy lights twinkled above wooden tables, and the air hummed with laughter and conversation. Elias's bookstore, nestled in the center, drew guests with its shelves of novels, memoirs, and children's books, each one chosen to reflect the diversity of the community. Friends, family, and strangers filled the space, their faces alight with curiosity. Among the crowd was Victor, his presence unexpected. He approached Elias, his hands in his pockets, his usual arrogance replaced by a quiet respect. "I underestimated you," he said, his voice low. "This place, it's remarkable. I'd like to contribute, if you'll allow it." Elias smiled, extending a hand. "Everyone's welcome here, Mr. Langston." As the evening drew to a close, Clara raised a glass to Elias, her eyes shining with pride. "To Haven, and to you, Elias. This is your legacy." Elias clinked his glass with hers, gratitude swelling in his chest. Haven was more than a dream. It was a testament to the power of kindness, resilience, and the belief that everyone deserves a place to belong. In the years that followed, Haven became a cornerstone of Boston, its doors open to all. Elias, now a community leader, greeted each visitor with warmth, his journey a reminder that even the smallest acts of courage can spark extraordinary change. He introduced programs like a pay-it-forward book fund, allowing patrons to gift books to those in need, and hosted weekly story nights, where voices from every walk of life wove a tapestry of connection. One evening, as Elias locked up Haven, he paused to look around the empty space. The shelves gleamed under soft light, the scent of coffee lingering in the air. A young woman, new to the community, had visited earlier, her eyes bright with a dream of opening a small art studio. Elias had sat with her, sharing his story, offering encouragement. "Dreams start small," he'd said, echoing Clara's wisdom. "But with resilience and community, they grow." The lesson woven through Elias's journey was profound. True wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the connections we nurture, the spaces we create for others to thrive, and the courage to rise above adversity. Haven stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of kindness and the enduring belief that everyone, no matter their start, has the potential to build something extraordinary.